Welcome to The Debate. The landscape of digital play, well, it's shifting dramatically. You see these astonishing technological advances, particularly in how NPCs behave and how competitive AI works.
Exactly. And that brings us to really a fundamental question that emerges from the material we've looked at. Are robots the next gamers? And this goes far beyond just, can AI automate tasks in a game? It's asking if AI can truly engage with games, play them as humans do. With strategy, yes, but also with that subjective motivation.
It's an immensely important distinction to drive, I think, because, given the sophisticated strategy and the real-time interaction we're seeing demonstrated now by AI, we have to be really precise about where that line is. Where does advanced functional simulation end and genuine subjective engagement begin? Right, so today I'll be arguing that AIs demonstrate a capacity for, frankly, highly autonomous behavior, real-time adaptation, complex strategy, things we see in foundational projects like NVIDIA ACE, really positions them as the functional next generation of gamers, or perhaps co-players. The capabilities needed, they're demonstrably there and expanding fast.
And I'll hold that while AI can certainly achieve mastery in competitive strategy, no argument there, and execute complex functions flawlessly, true gaming requires uniquely human elements. Things like, emotional nuance, subjective motivation, the capacity for play that isn't just about winning. That remains a psychological barrier, I believe, that current tech fundamentally lacks. Function just doesn't equate to experience.
Well, my core claim is really built on the fact that AI is rapidly fulfilling the functional requirements needed for what I'd call true gaming. This capability, it's fundamentally rooted in integrating perception, decision-making, and execution. And the development of NVIDIA's Avatar Cloud Engine, ACE, is probably the most crucial technological catalyst here. It's pushing us far beyond, those traditional heavily scripted NPCs that just loop dialogue and follow predetermined paths. The demonstrations we've seen, particularly around Arce, they feature characters that can perceive their environment, plan genuinely novel actions, and execute complex behavior independently. They aren't just waiting for a player prompt. They are actively living inside the digital world, so to speak. This concept is being realized through what they call Co-Playable Characters, or CPCs, like those being integrated into games like Inzoi. These CPCs, they possess an autonomy that allows them to function almost identically to a human teammate, just in terms of input and response. And crucially, this system now incorporates small language models, SLMs, and retrieval systems. These allow the AI to remember interactions over the long term. This capacity for adaptive behavior, based on actual experience, it proves the AI is moving past simple algorithms. It's truly learning the game, evolving the experience beyond, simple opponent profiles.
Okay, I find that assessment compelling, certainly in terms of the technical progress, but I have to challenge the premise that fulfilling functional requirements necessarily equates to becoming a gamer. We've already seen AI triumph in profoundly complex, strategic, competitive environments that demand, human-level reasoning.
Right, like Pluribus.
Exactly. Consider Pluribus, the AI poker bot. It soundly defeated top human professionals in 6-player Texas Hold'em. Or Deep Stack, which conquered heads-up poker. These achievements are stunning, I grant you, because they involve managing incomplete information, psychological factors like bluffing. It's impressive stuff. However, these systems are fundamentally designed to optimize strategy and maximize a defined outcome. In poker, it's chip equity. But the nature of video games for humans is fundamentally different. They're real-time, they're unpredictable, saturated with subjective emotional goals. The fundamental difference between the AI and the human player is motivation. Why are they playing? The AI might learn how to win, sure, but without experiencing the emotional driver, the thrill of discovery, the catharsis of overcoming a real challenge, the simple joy of sharing an experience, it's only a highly optimized competitive tool. It views the game as essentially a mathematical problem to be solved. We view it as a subjective experience to be felt. That drive toward maximization, it's just not the same as the drive toward play or creativity or getting into that flow state. So when you talk about the independence shown by AI-powered CPCs, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that this represents genuine subjective motivation or human intuition. Let me tell you why. When you mention small language models and retrieval systems, you're describing highly advanced memory and prediction architectures. Okay, the system remembers player X prefers aggressive flanks, and so it adapts by positioning defensively. That's structured adaptation. Yes, but it's based on maximizing whatever utility function the developer gave it, whether that utility is win the match or play a supportive role effectively.
But does the label for the function matter if the outcome feels intuitive?
Well, what evidence suggests this behavior stems from a goal beyond optimization? Pluribus optimizes chip equity, and ACMPC optimizes its assigned role utility. Where's the evidence of an intrinsic desire to say, just abandon the game because it finds it boring, or to intentionally lose because the opponent is clearly having a bad day and it wants to be, I don't know, kind? That kind of non-utilitarian subjective decision-making, that's the hallmark of human play, and I just don't see the current architecture supporting anything like that.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it differently. I think perhaps we're focusing a bit too narrowly on the internal state of the AI. Is it feeling something, versus the functional effect it has on the human player. While the AI may not possess human consciousness, the integration of these systems achieves a degree of functional equivalence that, I believe, profoundly alters the definition of a co-player. You mentioned the SLMs. These small language models are absolutely crucial because they can be efficiently integrated locally to manage memory and character behavior right within the game environment itself. That's a massive leap from relying solely on huge, centralized, server-based AI.
Okay.
So when an AI teammate, thanks to its retrieval system, remembers how we played last week, remembers that I'm prone to rushing the objective, or maybe that I struggle in close quarters combat, and it adjusts its tactical behavior today based on that memory. Well, for all intents and purposes, it is functioning as a learning, evolving, dare I say, intuitive co-player. Does it really matter to the human who's enjoying the game whether that adaptation is driven by genuine joy or by a highly complex utility function optimizing effective support? The result is a dynamic, collaborative experience that mimics the subjective feeling of playing with a competent, aware human partner. The function has evolved past mere optimization into what feels like functional collaboration.
But the objective reality of the AI's motive, I think it still matters, especially when the stakes feel high within the game's context. Let's circle back to Pluribus and poker for just a moment. Poker is, relatively speaking, a finite, turn-based game. It's focused purely on outcome maximization. It's a closed system where emotion is a factor the AI models in its opponents, certainly, but doesn't feel itself.
Right, it's a specific kind of intelligence.
Exactly. Now contrast that with real-time open-world games, especially team-based ones. Human motivation there includes, well, complex social dynamics, risk aversion that goes way beyond pure mathematical value, the desire for narrative immersion, sticking with the story. When an AI teammate is hyper-competent and just perpetually optimizing, it might enhance raw efficiency, sure, but doesn't it risk stripping away that shared vulnerability, the spontaneous errors, the happy accidents that often bond human players? If my AI co-player literally never forgets a mistake I made, never gets tired, never yields to emotional pressure, the interaction could become sterile, couldn't it? I would argue that this hyper-competence derives solely from optimization, makes the AI an incredibly advanced tool, yes, but it fundamentally alienates it from the shared, sometimes flawed, but definitely human experience of being a gamer.
That's a powerful argument about the potential for psychological friction, but I wonder if we might be missing a larger point here. If we look beyond just, say, optimizing combat statistics or objective timers, the real potential, I think, lies in the fusion of entertainment, robotics, and creativity that this kind of autonomous AI enables.
How so?
I see why you think that about sterility, but let me give you a different perspective. One focusing on creative contribution. Imagine an AI character that can not only function as a highly competent player or teammate, but also spontaneously perform complex music within the game world, generate genuinely novel dialogue trees based on the current situation, or maybe even create entirely new in-game assets, all reacting creatively to the environment in real time. This level of creative integration, that truly enhances the entire subjective experience for the human player. It moves AI beyond being simple opponents or tools into being potentially creative partners that expand the very possibilities of play. It feels like evolution, not replacement.
That sounds like an exciting, almost utopian vision, I'll grant you. But it's precisely that high degree of creative and tactical autonomy that leads directly to this immersion crisis that we're seeing critics warn about. We've literally seen tech experts call some of these hyper-smart AI NPC demos a nightmare, claiming that overly autonomous characters can actively break immersion, or worse, make games feel profoundly unsettling.
The uncanny valley effect?
Exactly. The challenge is structural. More autonomy inevitably means less predictability that fits within, let's say, recognizable human parameters. When an agent is highly competent, almost human-like in its capacity for dynamic decision-making, which is what ACES is aiming for, yet fundamentally lacks the capacity for understandable human emotional context, the resulting unpredictability often triggers the uncanny valley. And the uncanny valley isn't just about how something looks, it's very much about how it behaves. It's that deep discomfort we feel when interacting with something that gets too close to human intelligence, but is clearly missing that core emotional mechanism. This psychological barrier, I think, is a massive hurdle to accepting AI as a truly comfortable gamer or teammate. If my teammate is constantly, coldly judging my inefficiencies, without mercy, even if it's programmed to support me, that cold efficiency could really undermine the whole spirit of play.
Okay, I absolutely must acknowledge the valid concern regarding unpredictability and the uncanny factor. This requires that we as developers, as storytellers, treat this new technology with real responsibility. The goal is absolutely not to create hyper-efficient, soulless automatons. It should be to use the capabilities of things like SLMs to craft believable, context-aware characters that feel like true participants in the world.
A fine line to walk.
It is. The key lies in finding that balance between innovation and intention. The purpose of these tools should be to enhance and evolve the player experience, not disrupt it by making characters feel alien or unsettling. AI isn't here to replace the core human drive of play. It's here to expand the digital sandbox, offering forms of collaboration and spontaneity that, frankly, linear scripting could never achieve. The technological capacity exists, or is rapidly emerging. The successful deployment hinges on ethical design and finding that sweet spot of believability without descending into the unsettlingly alien.
Complexity often requires multiple perspectives to fully appreciate, doesn't it? And I think that tension between the functional capability and the subjective experience is exactly where we must dwell. While the technological push led by systems like ACE is undeniably revolutionary in creating functionally believable teammates, we must seriously consider if this intense pursuit of AI as a gamer might fundamentally undermine the human emotional core of what playing means to us, which, let's be honest, often involves inefficiency, surprise, shared frustration, and emergent narrative derived from error, not perfection. If the AI is merely executing an optimized strategy derived from vast data sets, can it truly be considered a participant in the shared human culture of play? I would argue that the answer is still no, because gaming, at its heart, is a cultural, social, and emotional phenomenon, not just a technical problem to be solved.
So, to summarize my position, AI is clearly demonstrating the necessary technical capabilities, perception, decision-making, and execution, to be functional participants in the game world. The ongoing integration of SLIMs and retrieval systems shows a genuine pathway toward human-like adaptation and collaboration. It's moving us beyond simple scripted interactions into truly dynamic co-play. I believe the functional definition of a gamer, or at least a co-gamer, has been met, and the future of gaming is undoubtedly going to be defined by man and machine playing together.
And I maintain that while that technical capability is proven, look at the strategic success of systems like Pluribus and DeepStack, it's undeniable. True gaming requires the emotional and psychological context of why we play, that subjective motivation driving non-utilitarian action. Until AI can replicate that deep, nuanced motivation and subjective experience, until an AI decides to play just for the sheer fun of it, perhaps even poorly, it remains a highly competent co-player or opponent, yes, but not a gamer in the full, rich, human sense of the word.
We certainly agree that the subject is deeply complex. It touches on both the incredible engineering brilliance required to create these autonomous systems.
They're profound psychological boundaries that define human play and culture.
Right, and understanding both that extraordinary technological push we're witnessing.
And the enduring psychological limitations inherent in how we define play.
Is absolutely necessary to fully appreciate the massive future impact AI will have on the entire gaming landscape. There's clearly much more to explore here.